more capable person will help them. Therefore, in terms of collaboration, guiding and modeling, the writing conferences provide opportunity for teachers to scaffold strategies and content for the student according to individual level, needs and skills. So, to carry out this research, this study has 3 research questions. Firstly, how do writing conferences help students to improve their writing? So actually, as far as my knowledge is concerned, this is a new study in India on writing conferences. So first, I wanted to understand how this writing conferences help in our context. Second one, what are the students' perceptions and expectations about writing conferences before they come to writing conference and after they go out? So what they expect and what are their perceptions the study wanted to look at. And third one is, what are the perceptions of teachers about writing conferences? What do teachers think? How do they think? How do they pursue this type of feedback? These 3 research questions are answered in this research. Research methodology and tools are going to be given here. It's an experimental study. The tools used for this study are the following: students questionnaire, teachers questionnaire, classroom observation checklist, pretest, writing task, teacher feedback, writing conferences, students rewritten drafts, teachers diary, error codes, pretest, informal discussions with teachers and students. These are the tools used in our study. Subjects of the study. So I have taken 30 students, first year engineering students. Actually it was 50 students in the beginning, and slowly they dropped because some 20 students did not complete the 2 tasks in intervention study. So finally the sample was only 30. Sample consisted of randomly selected students of engineering colleges in Telangana region. And first year students were chosen to collect data because they have English language in their first year, and others have only third year. JNU offers only lab session. So all these students at the same time, all these it was understood that they have same level of proficiency. Details of data collection. The data collection was done in 3 phases. The first phase was a preliminary study, and second phase was the main study or intervention study. Third phase was discussions, informal discussions with students and teachers to understand more about them. Now in the first preliminary study, a questionnaire was administered to the students to understand what are their problems in writing. As far as writing concerned, they have lots of problems. So the questionnaire was administered to understand what are their specific problems. And at the same time, and the researcher tried to understand how the teaching process was going on, teaching writing process was going on in those colleges. So for that, so we prepared a checklist, and that was used to understand how they are teaching. And after that, a pre-test was administered to see how far they were able to write before the main study was started. In the phase, when we enter phase 2, it's a main study or intervention study because it's a experimental study. So we had a intervention study with 30 students, actually 50 students, but other scripts were put aside. Only 30 student scripts were taken into consideration. So during intervention study, 2 tasks were given. Each task was revised twice. For each task 2 times writing conferences were conducted with students. And after intervention study, post-test was administered and the second part of the questionnaire was also given. So this second part of questionnaire deals with the writing content. So second part was given to them at the end of intervention study. And after this, the researcher felt some of the information was not clear from their writing and their behavior. So this researcher tried to interact informally, discuss with them, students and teachers, to with help of some questions. The researcher tried to get some information from the students and teachers. The writing tasks were used. The first one was used in pre-test, and the second and third were used in a intervention study, and fourth task was used in post-test. Now we'll see how the procedure followed during the intervention study. So this is the procedure followed during intervention study. First, students write a draft, and he gives it to the teacher, and teacher gives written comments and returns the first draft, and asks him to look at the comments and come back for a writing conference. And once he comes back, and the writing conference is conducted, and later, based on the writing conferences, the suggestions given in writing conferences, student revises the draft, and then he gives it back to the teacher. Teacher again writes his comments and conducts writing conferences. One second writing conference is done, and student again revises and gives a final draft to the teacher. So that is the follow for 2 tasks, and every task was revised twice. 2 times for every task writing conferences were conducted. So we'll see how data analysis was done. Out of 50 students, only 30 students scripts were considered for data analysis, because some scripts were incomplete. So we have taken only 30 scripts. Selection was done on the basis of understanding teacher comments and completion of 2 tasks. Students wrote 2 compositions during intervention stage. Each composition was revised twice. Pre-test and pre- and post-intervention tests were analyzed using qualitative and quantitative analysis method. Informal discussions with students and teachers were also analyzed. So quantitative analysis, how the growth is measured. So I took pre-test and post-test scores and mean and mode, median, and if you look at the slide, we can see mean and mode, median also improved at the end of the study in post-test. Qualitative analysis, how the qualitative analysis to capture the growth. 3 students' scripts were analyzed for writing dissertation, and here I consider the number of paragraphs and sentences improved in these 3 students' scripts, and later nature of topic sentences, how they write, how they are able to improve their topic sentences, and how they are able to improve their linkers and punctuation marks. These were considered to analyze qualitative, to give a qualitative analysis. The findings of the study, and this study is trying to answer the following questions as we discussed in the beginning. How do writing conferences help students to improve their writing? What are the students' perceptions and expectations about writing conferences? What are the perceptions of teachers about writing conferences. The first question, how do writing conferences help students to improve their writing? The writing conferences in the classroom was effective in making the learners understand understand the strengths and weaknesses of students' writer. It also helps learners in organizing an essay properly and presenting it in a grammatically accurate form. It helped the average and silent students to speak out. There was a considerable improvement in students' writing through written feedback in addition and writing conferences. It helps students in understanding their problems through the interaction with the researcher during conferences. By getting an opportunity to have dialogue with the teacher about their writing, the students were able to understand their strengths and weaknesses. The second research question was, what are the students' perceptions and expectations about writing conferences? So students' perceptions are, it could be a platform for them to express their doubts. Earlier they had no chance to go and express their doubts. So they always look at the teacher as a police. If a student goes, student may not be received as it required. So it created conference. Many students told us it's like a platform to express their doubts clearly, and they have time to talk to teacher. It is very useful to learn writing with the help of a teacher. Earlier what they did, so before they come to this writing conference, they had opportunity to write and give it to teacher. That's the end. But when the study was going on, they had opportunity to come to teacher and learn something from the teacher. It provides clarity on their mistakes and solutions to their solution to the mistakes. And not only they are not only just trying to understand their mistakes, they got solutions for their mistakes also. So here, their expectations. When they come to writing conferences, students expect their grammatical errors to be corrected by teachers. Many students feel grammatical errors are very important. They don't know much about content and expression, wrinkles and all that. They don't know that. But they think they are able to write grammatically well, so they are good writers. So many students express that my grammatical errors to be corrected by teacher, then will be happy. That's their expression. And they expected that they should have a private talk with teachers. When they talk in a classroom, when they try to express some doubt, they may not feel comfortable. But when they talk to teacher alone or in a small group, they are comfortable to express their views and their doubts. And they want to get more suggestions from teachers. The final question is, what are the perceptions of teachers about writing conferences? Teachers felt that it is a source for negotiating meaning, and many teachers saw this as really very helpful for teachers as well as students. It imparts confidence to students. It saves teachers time by not giving lengthy comments. The comments are very little. When they come for conference, the teacher can explain it. Gives time to examine students' drafts. Pedagogical implications. Teacher plays a vital role in teaching. Unless teacher asks the students, they may not come forward to the writing class. They want to escape actually from all writing class. They don't want to write. So many students say, even my students say, sir, you don't give us a writing class, just give us a speaking class, we'll do that. So for many teachers, teaching is not a choice, because they are coming. If they don't get a government job, they are coming. And so there are a lot of constraints, especially time constraints. They feel, okay, there is no time, I have no time. There are exams are approaching, government jobs are going to come, so I have to prepare. How can I take time and write comments? And lack of awareness in giving feedback. So it is observed that many teachers are not aware of giving feedback. Lack of awareness about how feedback helps students. Lack of interest to give feedback also. So it can be studied how to conduct successful recommendations. We are almost at the end of the presentation. Recommendations and suggestions. It can be studied how to conduct successful writing conferences with students. Since it is a new area of research in our country, so we can study, we can go forward to study on how to conduct successful writing conferences. Further research is recommended to find out why writing conferences are not familiar in our context. Why it is not familiar in our context, that can be studied. It is also necessary to study why many teachers, especially at college level, do not give teacher feedback. Further research is needed to equip teachers to respond to students' writing. It's also very important thing. Many teachers are not well equipped and they are not aware of giving feedback. So it is also one of the areas to be researched. A study on motivating teachers to respond to students' writing will help a lot. So motivating teachers also very important. Some references. Thank you.
Thank you, Indra, for your presentation. I'm glad that you have kept time and completed within 1 hour. And